So in this video, I will explain the general things about the algebraic limits and the evaluation, the conceptual evaluation of the algebraic limits. The thing with the algebraic limits is that we have four different types. So here you can see the four different types of these limits. The meaning of evaluating limits is that you have to substitute the approaching value of x, here, for example, infinity or z, into the whole f of x expression in order to obtain something that is fundamental for these exercises, and that is the type. The type is the most important thing you have to define when you want to perform this algebraic evaluation of limits, because without the type, you cannot know what is the proper procedure to follow. So this whole map will be the most important one in order to decide the correct procedure for each type of the algebraic evaluation of limits. So we have like two main categories of limits. The first one is when x is approaching to some positive or negative infinity, and the other one is when x is approaching to some number that, remember, we call c. So here x is approaching infinity, it could be positive or negative, and here x is approaching c. When x is approaching infinity, then we can have two different types here. The first type is called infinity minus infinity, and the procedure to follow when you obtain the type infinity minus infinity will be the next one. To take a common factor using the x with the highest exponent on the function. For example, if we have a polynomial function f of x is equal to, let's say f of x is equal to x at 5 minus x at 4, you will obtain the common factor using the x at 5, because that is the highest exponent on the function. Then for the type infinity over infinity, plus minus infinity over plus negative infinity, we have to divide each term of the function by the x with the highest, again, the highest exponent of the denominator. This is a relevant thing to remember here. This is happening, these are the two procedures when you have the types infinity minus infinity or plus minus infinity over plus minus infinity. And those procedures belong to the category of limits when x approaches infinity. Then when x approaches some number, we can have three different types. The first one is the easiest one, because when you obtain a single number as an evaluation of the limit, then you have to do nothing, because this a here, this a is the value of the limit. You have to make nothing at all. That will be the value of the limit. The other two are the complex ones, because when you obtain a number over 0, you know that a number over 0 does not exist. You have to evaluate what is happening from the left side, if you remember, from the left side of the function and from the right side of the function. And finally, when you obtain 0 over 0 type, this also, the meaning of this 0 over 0 is also that something does not exist. Then you have to use algebra, meaning you have to obtain common factor, you have to simplify the expression, you have to expand the expression. Anything that you can imagine it is proper to use in an expression in order to simplify that expression and then obtain the evaluation of the limit. So this is the general map for this week. This is the general map of the types of limits. So again, remember, you have to know what is the category that you are evaluating, and then the most important thing in order to decide the procedure is to know the type of limit. So always you have to substitute in order to identify the type of limit in order to know the proper procedure, or to decide the proper procedure that you will follow to obtain the value of the limit.